What if I told you that you've been programmed to study the wrong way all your life? And because of this, you have achieved far less than what you're capable of. What if I told you that if you had made a few small changes to your revision strategy, you would have done far better in your maths exams than you previously did? How would that make you feel? Quite disappointed, right? Well, don't worry, because in a couple of minutes, I will reveal the #1 secret to scoring an A star in Gcse maths and practically any Gcse exam. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself and how I'm certain that you're studying the wrong way. I'm Jeevan Singh and I achieved an A star in Gcse maths, which by the way I took a year early. I studied A-level maths and again I achieved an A star grade. I then went on to study maths at a top 10 university in the UK. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, Jeevan, you're gifted or you're some kind of a nerd, but to tell you the truth, I am far from gifted. There is nothing special about me, really. I'm just an average student. So how did I manage to do so well in my maths exams? Well, I guess I just understood the revision process really well. I knew how to apply myself, but more importantly, I learned how to approach an exam in the most efficient way possible, because that's the key. If you're really thinking about an exam, what is it exactly? Well, you have a textbook here, and you have an exam over here. You simply take the information from here, from the textbook, and place it over here into the exam. And just make sure it's in tune with what the examiner is looking for. If you look at it in that respect, surely it can't be that difficult, right? What really surprised me was results day. There was me, an average student, with exceptional results, and I looked around and I could see a number of glum faces. These were glum faces of students who obviously didn't do too well. But the sad part about it was these students were actually intelligent people. They were hard-working people who used to attend all of their lessons and complete all of their assignments on time. You would expect them to cruise through their exams, but instead they only managed to secure mediocre grades such as B's, C's, and sometimes even D's. I started to wonder, why was it going so horribly wrong for them? What was I doing different in terms of revision? Now there's a very good chance you are making the same mistakes as these students. How am I so sure? Well, we only need to look at the current Gcse maths results as a whole to prove this point. As you can see, around 40% failed a subject altogether, 50% achieved an average BC grade, and only 10% achieve a top A and A star grade. This means there is a 90% chance you are underachieving in your Gcse maths right now, and the reason being is you are going about it totally the wrong way. So how can you achieve an A star in Gcse maths and become a part of this top 10% of achievers? It's really simple. This is the #1 secret. You find out exactly what an A star student does and copy exactly what they did. I mean, copy them down to a T. That's it. If you do that, results will definitely soar. Now, it sounds obvious, but the majority of students don't do this. They tend to go with their own gut instinct, or they imitate what their peers do, and this is of course a very risky strategy. If you went up to an A star student in your school right now and asked them how they study, do you think they would reveal all their techniques? Of course not. At the end of the day, they want to excel and leave you behind. Us human beings have a tendency to imitate what others around us are doing. We see one of our friends writing notes from a revision guide, or we hear of someone writing notes from a revision guide, and we'll do the same. But let me tell you this, writing notes is the most inefficient activity you can do, and it has virtually zero impact on results. I advise my students not to focus on note taking. I rarely did myself, and I bet you many other A-star students don't take their notes too seriously either. We already know that if you were to go up to an A-star student and ask for their advice, they would most likely fob you off. So this is what I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to give you the exact same revision strategy I followed to get an A-star in Gcse maths a year early. It's like the blueprint to Gcse maths success. It is what all A-star students follow. It consists of a 200-page manual which literally walks you through step by step on how to get the grade you desire in Gcse maths. Whether it's an A star in maths or just a pass grade, this guide will show you exactly how to do that. You'll be given a detailed revision schedule so you know what you have to do from day one right up to the day of your exam. You just simply have to copy it, and in the end you'll get your target grade. It's really that straightforward. It comes with 3 sets of video tutorials, one for the foundation tier, one for the higher tier, and one for the iGCSE higher tier, as the iGCSE is becoming more and more popular these days. There is 8 hours of video footage of me going through the trickiest exam questions from the syllabus. Remember, the examiners are looking to catch you out, but over the last couple of years I've trawled through all the past papers of each exam board and pulled out all of these trick questions. By understanding these trick questions alone, you'll boost your result by 1 or 2 whole grades. As I said, I went through the past papers of each exam board, so this manual can be used by any Gcse Maths student. Whether you're taking the Edexcel exam or the AQA exam or even the OCR spec, I've recently updated it so it's suitable for the new specifications released in September 2015. You know, the one with the unusual grading system for 1 to 9. They spun the content around and moved a lot of the higher tier topics into the foundation tier, but you don't have to worry about this. I've identified all of these topics for you so you'll know exactly what sections to cover. Anyone can use this strategy, even if you're down and out, even if you feel you're hopeless at maths, you can still follow my strategy and boost your grade considerably. Sim from West London went from an F grade to a pass grade in her GCSE Maths. In one of her modules she actually scored 100%. The proof is there right in front of your eyes. That is a copy of her result slip. Amber from Sheffield, probably my best student to date, she went from a U grade to a pass grade. A U grade, do you know what a U grade means? It means ungraded. She virtually started off with a score of 0, but with a change in attitude and my unique revision strategy, her result improved dramatically. You will also discover the fatal mistake most students make during their revision. It's so subtle, yet it can have a devastating effect on one's final grade. It's so easy to make because you would think it's just part and parcel of revision. It is something you'd naturally do, but in reality, it seriously jeopardizes your grade. This is the simple reason why 90% of GCSE Maths students underachieve in their final exam. Aaron, another one of my students from West London, was making the same mistake and failed his GCSE Maths first time around. Once he realised where he was going wrong, he cruised through his resit, scoring 90% in the process. Dia, she's also from West London, believe it or not, her teacher advised her to make this mistake. Her teacher, had she followed what her teacher said, she would have just achieved an average C grade, but thankfully, she didn't. She followed my advice and achieved an A in her final exam. Another thing you learn from this guide is the most important area of your revision, the area that goes widely unnoticed. People put a lot of emphasis on past papers, but at the end of the day, past papers don't mean anything. I have seen many students work through practice paper after practice paper and still underperform in the exam. Why? Because they didn't dedicate as much time to this other area. Without focusing on this other area, believe it or not, past papers actually become pointless. As a matter of fact, in the last few days leading up to your exam, there is actually no need to do any past papers. Really there isn't, and I'll explain why in the guide. What you should be focusing on in the last few days is my top 3 memory retention techniques so you can remember everything you need to know for your exam and more or less guarantee your target grade. Lastly, and it's probably the most important thing, I will show you how to revise efficiently so you can free up as much as 50% of your time. I personally know people who used to lock themselves in their rooms and revise around the clock. Do you honestly think barricading yourself in a room and reading a fat textbook is natural for you? Is this going to do any good for your mental and physical well-being? Of course not. This is the biggest misconception when it comes to studying. People have this assumption that you have to revise endlessly to get good results, but it's so untrue. I strongly believe less is more as long as you focus on the right things. It is possible to achieve top grades while spending half your time doing the things you enjoy. I used to do it all the time, so there's no reason why you can't do it too. In my guide, I will show you my small rule of thumb that will allow you to free up as much as 50% of your time. You just have to put it in place, and what you'll notice is you'll have much more free time on your hands, so you can do other things such as Facebooking or watching films or even hanging out with friends. Imagine getting a top grade whilst doing all of those things. It would feel great, wouldn't it? This is the ideal lifestyle every student seeks, and believe me, by using my trick, it's not that difficult to obtain. This is what Ivan, another student of mine from Coa Antrim, said about my tip. Jeeves' rule of thumb is so simple yet so effective. When I put it into practice, it allowed me to free up half of my time. At the end of the day, revision is not about work, work and work. And check this out, this is why I love Dia so much. She hit the nail on the head with this one. I think she understood this rule better than me, because what she did, frankly, I don't think I have the guts to do it myself. Just 2 days before her final GCSE Maths exam, she went to Fort Park. She spent the whole day at Fort Park. Yes, and you can see proof of this on your screen right now. This was her actual tweet posted 2 days before her exam. At first I was a little sceptical, just 2 days before the exam, you may be taking a bit of a gamble there, but she explained up to that point she followed all of my revision principles down to a T. As she felt she had stored everything she needed to know for her exam, she could afford to miss a whole day of revision and it wouldn't affect her. And it didn't, because in the end she still got a solid A grade. That is the beauty about my revision program. As long as you follow it, you can afford to take time off and do other things you love to do, and you will not forget a single thing. Remember, this is not like your typical revision guide. Revision guides these days are just packed with information. What is good about a ton of information if you don't know how to apply it? These revision guides won't tell you the most critical mistake made when revising for a maths exam. They won't discuss the most important area of your revision in detail as I've done, and it certainly won't teach you how you can free up 50% of your time. As Kimran from West London said, it's nothing like your usual revision guide, because Gcse is a well-defined strategy. Gcse shows you exactly what to do to achieve a top grade in GCSE Maths in a step-by-step format. Amberine, the student who went from a U grade to a pass grade in Maths, she said, your resources are amazing, Gcse. They are far better than the other revision guides are wasting money on. As you can see, my material is nothing like the run-of-the-mill revision guides you find in local shops. Sounds great so far? Well, it gets a whole lot better, because as part of this package I will throw in a number of bonus manuals too. The first is a smaller booklet called Gcse Maths Master Shortcuts. This neat little resource contains all the shortcuts ever discovered in Gcse Maths. By using these shortcuts you'll solve questions quicker and look like a genius in front of your peers and teachers. The second booklet, called Gcse Maths Tricks of the Trade, it builds on from all of the exam questions in the main revision guide. Up to now this guide was given exclusively to students I tutored in my local area, but now I'm giving it away as part of this package. This guide contains all of the areas a typical student would drop marks on. By being aware of these areas, you will achieve nearer the 100% mark, let alone your target grade. This guide will come in very handy in the last few weeks of revision when you need something easy to refer to. The last bonus guide that I'm including in this package is probably the most important. The only thing that can prevent you from achieving a top grade in GCSE Maths is of course other GCSE exams. You most likely have a whole host of exams to revise for, and this will obviously have an impact on your final GCSE Maths grade. I don't want your GCSE Maths grade to improve at the expense of other subjects. That's why I created a guide on maximising the result in every GCSE exam. This guide will show you how you can balance out your revision so you can achieve a top grade in all your subjects. I will show you again how you can do that while spending half your time doing the things you enjoy. I'll go into more detail about why note-taking is not the way forward and how it can actually have an adverse effect on grades. You'll also find out why working back to front actually boosts results in the long run. You've watched my video up to this point, which means you're intrigued by my product, you want to achieve the best possible grades in your exams, you want to drop those old habits which are preventing you from fulfilling your true potential. Now is just one question that remains: how much will this package cost me? Let me ask you this: what do you think all of this content is worth to you? If you consider the average rate of private tuition, it's roughly £25 per hour. 8 hours of private tuition would cost you £200. This means the video tutorials alone would be worth £200, wouldn't it? What about the 200-page manual? This manual is a documentation of my 15 years of knowledge and experience in the subject. It is a step-by-step strategy on getting your desired grade in GCSE Maths. You just have to follow A, B and C, and at the end you'll get the grade you want. Over the last couple of years I've fine-tuned my revision system so you can secure your target grade while spending half of your time doing the things you enjoy. This is the ideal scenario for any student. I think it's safe to say that the guide itself is easily worth £50. Then you have all of the bonus material: GCSE Maths Master Shortcuts, GCSE Maths Tricks of the Trade, how to maximise your result in every GCSE exam. If these guides can help you boost your grades across the board, then I think paying £50 for this extra material would be a fair price. This gives a combined value of £300. Now, parents would be happy to spend that sort of money if it meant their child's grades would improve dramatically and also help them secure a higher paying job in the near future. Take a look at the statistics for private tuition, for example. On average, parents pay £2,750 a year on private tuition. When you weigh up the two, paying a one-off £300 fee for a guarantee system that will boost your GCSE grades considerably would be a worthwhile investment, wouldn't you agree? I charge over £40 per hour for face-to-face tuition, and I more or less place my students on the same revision programme. So paying £300 for this package would be worth every penny if it maximises your child's results in their GCSE maths as well as all their other GCSEs and help them secure a well-paid job in the future. But I understand that this price tag may be a little steep for you. At the end of the day, I want to help as many students as possible. Truth be told, our GCSE maths results as a nation is shocking, and I feel the UK student population has so much more to offer. Not only that, but our kids are the future. They're going to shape our future economy. That's why I want every student in the country to have this revision system. I don't want price to be a hindrance for anyone. And that's why I'm prepared to slash the price by half to £150. £150 would be money well spent for a full revision programme which consists of 8 hours of video tutorials and bonus material, but then again this price may still be a little out of reach for you. So I've decided to cut it by half again to £75. At £75 you're grabbing yourself a huge bargain. But the only issue with the £75 price tag is it may put you off from buying it right now if you're a little hard up on cash. But I want you to have this revision system right away. That's why I'll cut it by half one last time to £37. That is my absolute final offer for you today, £37. For £37 you'll get my full GCSE revision course, a 200-page manual which walks you through step by step on how to achieve a top grade in GCSE maths. You'll also be given 8 hours of video footage of me going through the trickiest GCSE maths questions from the syllabus. I'll also give you bonus material so you can achieve the best grades in all your other GCSE exams too. The best thing about this is you can go through all of this material in the comfort of your own home. There is no need to travel to a stranger's house for tuition. You can go through all this material at home and as many times as you wish. £37, what is £37? Well, it's equivalent to a family meal at Nando's or a couple of sessions with a private tutor, yet it will give you everything you need to pass your GCSE exams with flying colours. By the way, this is a downloadable product. Once you hit the buy button below, I'll send you an email with all the content. You don't have to wait for the postman. You can get started with this right away. You can see almost immediately where you're going wrong in your revision and how to avoid the same mistakes going forward. Don't leave your revision to the last minute. You run a much greater risk of underperforming in your final GCSE exams if you do so. By starting early, revision is more streamlined and it makes it a lot easier to apply my free up 50% of your time rule. Click the buy button below, it's just below this video, and get your copy today. Remember, you have nothing to lose. All my products come with a 60-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. I'll let you read through my revision guides, watch the videos, and test out my revision principles for 2 months. If it doesn't boost your grades in that time, then I don't want your money. Simply return it to me and I'll give you a full refund. Even if it doesn't work out for you, I will let you keep the bonus material just for showing some faith in me. How does that sound? I don't think it can get any better than that. Whatever happens, you get to keep all my bonus materials, the GCSE Maths Master Shortcuts, GCSE Maths Tricks of the Trade, and how to maximise your result in every GCSE exam. But please give it your best shot because I know it will have a huge impact on your results because it's done the same for hundreds of other students across the UK. For some people, it's gone on to change their lives. Zakia from Northampton could only manage DE grades in a mock exams, but after following my revision strategy, she got a B in her final exam. My revision principles have helped her immensely in her A-level chemistry too. She says, thanks Jeevan, my B grade will definitely help me in applying for a pharmacy course at university. Temitope from Kent, she used my revision strategy and achieved a B grade in year 10. She followed it again and in year 11 she achieved an A grade. By the way, this is in the summer of 2014. She says, you've instilled a belief in me that I could do well in this subject. That's why I'm going to study for A-level and make a career out of it. Aisha, another top student of mine, fell behind quite rapidly in year 10 due to a lack of teachers. And she was getting below average in her GCSE mock exams. After buying my package, however, her maths improved dramatically. In the end, she achieved an A grade in GCSE maths. Again, this is in the summer of 2014. She said, I was a little disappointed I missed out on the A star, but considering the circumstances, I think I did pretty well. I'm now taking A-level maths at a grammar school. I wanted to thank you for helping me along the way. You have inspired me to do well in this subject, and I'm sure my A grade will definitely help me to study veterinary medicine at a top university. By the way, you can find the full reviews of all my students towards the end of the page. Just scroll down to the bottom. Also, there's Deborah from Southport. She's a mature student, an older student, and she needed to pass her maths to qualify for a Gcse teaching course. After failing it a couple of times, she almost packed in her Gcse maths altogether, but thankfully she didn't, because she came across my revision strategy. After following it, she passed her next Gcse maths exam with ease. She said, "Your resources, together with your guidance, my pass in Gcse maths was a foregone conclusion. Thanks, Stephen, you have potentially changed my life." As you can see, students young and old are benefiting from this revision system. If you're young and you think you're not quite ready for this program, think again. Did you know you actually begin Gcse maths concepts at a tender age of 10? I'll give this material to 9-10-year-old students I tutor in my local area, and they seem to be making a lot of progress with it. This means students as young as 10 can benefit from my program. And as I said before, the earlier you begin, the better. This is what Zain Akif, a Year 8 student, who's only 13 years old, from Cheshire, said about my revision system. "This guide has helped me jump from a level 6A in maths to a level 8C in my next school assessment. I am now regarded as a gifted individual. Thanks to you, and I would recommend this guide to anyone studying maths." As you can see, this revision system has worked wonders. It has helped hundreds of students up and down the country boost their grades in maths, and the last time I checked, it is now being used in over 30 schools across the UK. Honestly, it would be a silly move if you did not incorporate this into your revision. So click the buy button below, it's just below this video, and get started right now. There is only two options you can take at this point. You can either pay a small fee of £37 and change how you study forever, or simply do nothing and just hope your GCSE results will come good this year. Believe me, a lot of my students who took the second option first time around seriously regret it. They underperformed in their exams and they had to sit through depressing resets. When I speak to them now, they wish they had my material sooner. Don't leave your GCSE maths result to chance this year. Click on the buy button below and download all of these products right now.